guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited about this video because it is my introduction to my 2017 Pan That Palette challenge. And this is going to be my third year doing this challenge. Just for a brief background for anyone that's new, I did it for the first time in 2015 and I did the Lorac Pro palette along with a bunch of other girls, which was really fun. Then last year, or in 2015, I also had my Hourglass Ambient Lighting palette, and my goal for the Lorac Pro was to hit pan on 4 shades and use up the other 12. I hit pan on the 4 and only used up 9 of the 12. And then I had my Hourglass Ambient Lighting palette, and I only ended up finishing 1 of the shades completely in 2015, and I continued to work on that one in my 2016 project. In 2016, I also had the Smashbox Blue Eyes palette, which was a 6-pan eyeshadow palette. I only ended up painting 2 of the eyeshadows because I really didn't like the formula. They faded really easily, they looked muddy, they blended away to nothing. They just weren't very good shadows, so I didn't end up painting all of them. And then I had my Balm How About Them Apples cheek palette that had 6 cream blushes in it. So this year I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I don't really have any other face palettes that I could pan, the only other face palette I really have is the Urban Decay Gwen Stefani one, and I'm just not ready to pan that one yet. So I knew that if I was going to do this project, I would have to do eyeshadows. And last year, I really enjoyed doing my 1 month 1 palette series after I stopped panning the Smashbox palette. And so part of me didn't really want to pan anything, but then I thought about it some more, and there are some things I do want to pan, so I came up with a solution. So I have several palettes here I'm going to show you guys, because as I mentioned earlier, I've never had just one palette in my project because that would be, a reasonable thing to do. So I have several palettes here. I have different goals for all of them, and so I'm going to share those with you. Some of them you've seen before, some of them you haven't, and I might be a little in over my head, I'm not sure, but we'll see how it goes. So the first palette I have is actually the Lorac Pro Ho. So some of these are kind of leftovers from previous projects. I really wanted to finish this in 2016. It was a kind of a big term goal I had, but I put some of the individual shades in project pans and did well with that. But I think since the whole palette wasn't in any type of project, I just never kind of really went at it and was able to finish the rest of it. So like I said, in 2015, I hit pan on these 4, and I had everything left, or I had everything gone except mauve. I had a little bit of light bronze, a little bit of pewter left, and I think that's it. So in 2016, I did finish light bronze and pewter, which was not that hard. I hit pan on mauve, and I finished off black. I also made a lot of progress on deep purple. I would use that to set. I have a purple liner that I've been trying to use up, so I would set it with this. So I think this will be pretty easy to finish off if I have my mind set to it. So deep purple I'm going to continue using in the same way. This one I don't remember if it was always this bad, but as soon as I put my brush in it, it kind of explodes. A lot of product gets wasted, but there's really nothing I can do about it, and I also don't really care because it's a really hard shade for me to use up anyway. So I don't think it will take that long to get through this little chunk, even though I only use it for liner, because every time I use it, it makes a big mess everywhere. And I'm not sure about Slate. Slate is one I barely touched in 2016. I could have used it up if I continued to use it on my lower lash line like I did in 2015, but I just totally forgot about it. So I want to get back to using this on my lower lash line. In 2015, I also layered it with other shadows because I don't like it on its own on my eyes. So there's nothing in here I would really layer it with, but maybe I could play around with some other shadows I have, or I could just, really go at it on the lower lash line every single day. Espresso I also barely touched in 2016. I did use it in conjunction with black. I have a gel liner that's kind of a dark brown, so I would set that liner with a combination of espresso and black. I'm actually wearing that liner today. I didn't use espresso though, but so I think I'll use it to maybe set brown liner, or also use it in the outer V and maybe on the lower lash line as well. And then mauve Mauve is my nemesis. I've used it a ton. I also really like it. It just was so hard for me to get to the pan. So I finally hit pan this year on it. I use this in my crease when I wear a more purplier eye look. So that's how I've mostly used it so far. I've also used it as a blush. I don't like it as a blush on me on its own, but if I layer something else on it, I do like it. So I might continue to do that. I was really against using any of these other than on my eyes, just because, not because I think it's cheating, but I just really wanted to use up a whole eyeshadow palette as eyeshadow. But Mauve is the one where I just really don't care. I just want to get it gone. So if I have to use it as a blush to get it gone, I will. But like the corners are still really high all the way up to the top. There's kind of like a big dent in the middle, and then there's the lower area that has pan on it, but I know it's going to take me a long time. It's probably only half gone, if that. So we'll see how it goes. But this is the first palette I have in my 2017 project. The next is another one that you might remember from 2015. I had this, I was kind of pulling in some of these shadows once I used up the matte shadows in the Lorac Pro. So this is the Urban Decay Pulp Fiction palette. I love this palette. I love it a lot. I love it so much that I bought a backup. I did sell the backup and I talked myself out of having a backup of a palette, but I do just want to finish off the ones that I've already hit pan on in this. So there's 4 pans in this palette. There's 5 colors. I hit pan on this one in 2015 in my project, and then I think I hit pan on Anger, this white one as well. And then in 2016 I hit pan on the black one. So I just want to finish off these 2 pans. This color is a color I use almost every day to set my primer. If I don't use this one, I use something similar to it. So even when I finish it off completely, I know that I can still use the other, kind of do the same looks with another color in my collection. I know there's no way I'll use up these 2 brown shades this year, so I'm not even going to try to hit pan on them. I really like the formula on all these shadows. They're really nice, and I really like these 2 brown shades, so when I'm done with these 2, I'll probably depot them and put them in a Z palette. But these pans are huge. They are bigger than a full-size Urban Decay shadow. A full-size Urban Decay shadow is 1.5 grams. These are 1.8. And then a pan in like the Urban Decay Naked palette is 1 gram. So they're almost twice as big. So I almost panned this last year, but that's kind of what threw me off, is that these pans are huge. But I feel like I could definitely finish off of these 2 pans this year. So that is my goal. I'm not sure how this is going to go because there's no physical barrier between the white and the black. So I'm not sure what will happen with it as I use it up, but I just want to use up as much as I can of this. So for this one, the white one is really worn down kind of in this area where my finger is. It's really high right next to where it touches the black, but I think this will go pretty quickly. I usually use this as a brow bone highlight and kind of an inner corner highlight. The black one is really high in this corner, so I don't know how long it will take to use up the black, and it kind of depends on if it crumbles or something. It'll be really hard to repress these because they're mixed in together. So we'll just kind of see what happens with this palette. So then I have 2 more palettes. I was torn between them, which ones to put in my project and which ones to not. So I'm just going to show both of them to you and we'll just see how the year goes. So the first one is my Stila In The Know palette. This is a matte eyeshadow palette. I really enjoy it, but my favorite matte palette is the Too Faced Natural Eyes matte palette. So I really don't need to have so many matte palettes. So I would really love to use this one up, or at least some of it. So my goal is not to use up this entire palette this year. I don't know if that's even possible, but I would really love to hit pan, if not use up completely, Air, Wind, Desert, which already has pan on it, Clay, and Rain. I would love to hit pan on all of those, and then I think I could use up these 3 for sure. Desert, for some reason, is a lot like Deep Purple in the Lorac Pro. The formula seems different than all the rest of these. My brush goes in, there's a huge mess. I tap off my brush, so much product comes out. And I just feel like I use up so much and waste so much every time I use it, but I really can't control it. Even if I just touch it in a little bit and I tap it off, I feel like so much of it comes off, but there's still enough to use on my eyes. I don't know what it is. It's just very, very weird. So that one I think will go pretty quickly. As you can see, I've already hit pan on it. This one is very similar to Righteous, so I don't know what it would be like to have two similar shades, but it's something I use every day, so I think I'll be able to be successful there. Then White is or Air is like a white shade. I also use it as a brow bone highlight, so I think I'm going to work on the white in here first before I get to this one. And then I use Rain and Clay in my crease. What I really like about this palette is that there's my kind of go-to look is something like this on the lid, one of these as a transition shade, and then one of these in the outer V to deepen it up. So I like that there's kind of more options in this palette. You can do cool shades, or you can do the warm ones, or more neutral ones, and so you do have a lot of options, but I feel like I like this, but I wouldn't repurchase it if I used it up. So that's kind of the type of thing I like to put in my projects, so I can make my numbers go down and then I'm not tempted to buy the same thing up again. So that's kind of my goal here. The goals might change throughout the year, we'll see, but that's where we're starting with. And then this is the one I wasn't sure if I should do this one or this one, but after further thought on this palette, there's only two things in it I want to pan. So first is the Park Avenue Princess Blush, which is pretty much the only, bronzer. It's the only bronzer I used in the entire year of 2016, except for when I was traveling because I didn't want to bring this whole palette just for the bronzer. So the idea behind this palette is that it's a great travel palette, but I never use it like that because I really don't like it as much as I thought I would. I don't like these shades. They're very chalky. They don't blend very well. The shimmery ones are nice. I do like them. And this one's okay. I kind of use this to set my primer as well. The highlight is okay, but as you can see, it's gotten kind of bronzed up trying to use the bronzer. And then I really do like the blush. The reason I bought this palette was for the blush. This was the first thing I ever bought from Tarte. I got it with a 20% off coupon at Ulta. I was initially just going to buy a blush that I wanted to try from Tarte, and then I saw this and I figured with the 20% off coupon, it was just a few bucks more than a blush without a coupon, so I still should have gotten just the blush. But I thought it'd be a good way to try the brand for the first time. So I bought this mostly for the blush. The other things was kind of just a bonus. I do like the bronzer, so I do want to use that up this year. And then the only other goal I'm going to make right now for this palette is to pan this light purple shade. I have a lot of purple shadows in other palettes. My Laura Mercier Eye Art palette is my favorite, and that one has a lot of purples. So I just think it would be nice to use up a purple in my collection. Like I said, I really only like these three shades. I usually use the dark purple in conjunction with the light purple, so maybe my goal for this one, I'll have to hit pan on the dark purple and then use up the light purple completely. I'm not sure if I'm going to try anything with this one just because I have those other shades and the other palettes in that I want to use up that I kind of use in the same way. I do like this gold, but I don't wear gold eyeshadow very often, and I probably have other golds, so I don't know if when I'm done with this palette this year, I hope that the bronzer's gone and these are, you know, whatever. Then I plan to depot it. I'll definitely keep the blush. I don't think I'll keep the highlighter. I don't love it. Sometimes I do use it as an eyeshadow, I should mention, but I don't love it. And like I said, I don't like these two for sure, and this one's just okay. So I think this will be a good way to use up some of these, then depot it, and I can throw away the things that I don't like and never use at all. So that's my goals for this. So yes, I have 4 palettes this year. I don't know if I'll regret that. I probably will, but I couldn't decide, so I figured let's throw them all in. We'll see what happens. If I take one of the palettes out, that'll be fine. I'll still have a lot of stuff to work on. So that is it for my Pan That Palette introduction, and I will see you guys in a month with my first update. Bye!